welcome to the presentation about the Early Childhood Education Program at Renton Technical College. My name is Beatrice Favre, and I'm the lead instructor at Renton Technical College, and I'm here today with Chelsea Good.
Hello and welcome. So today we're going to be going over a few different items to kind of give you more information about the Early Childhood Education Program. So we want to talk specifically about the stackable certificates and also the associate degree that we offer, talk about the different class offerings that we have both in English and Spanish. We'll also talk about the IBEST program, which is a support program that goes along with your ECE classes. We're also going to talk about practicum courses, which is where you'll be working directly with children for a certain number of hours to get that learning experience to go along with your classes. We also want to make sure that you know how you're planning to pay for your college and what financial support is available for you. And then we also want to make sure that you know what your next steps are to enroll in the program and also who to contact if you have any questions along your journey.
So first of all, if you're watching this info session, you might have heard about the different stackable certificates. Maybe you're already working in the field and you know you have to go back in order to get your stackable certificates because it's required by DCYF, the Department of Child, Youth and Family. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to show you the different stackable certificates that we offer at Renton Technical College. And when we talk about stackable, we mean that they build on top of each other, and the next couple of slides will illustrate that a little bit. So the very first certificate is the initial certificate. So you see it's only 3 courses and it's a total of 12 credits. Now, I'm not sure if you have heard about it, but Washington State now requires everyone who wants to be working with young children that they need to get at least the initial certificate. That applies also for assistant teachers. So most of the time, our students complete that initial certificate in 1 quarter, like in 12 weeks, 11 to 12 weeks. Now, once you have completed your initial certificate, you can actually add 2 more classes. You see here a total of 5 classes. That includes the 3 classes that you have already completed for your initial certificates. You just add 2 more classes and you get your short-term certificate. Now, this certificate, based on the WAC requirement, is for center lead teachers and family homeowners. So that's the minimum that you need. And they give you 2 years after once you've completed the initial certificate. But again, you just add 2 more courses. That means most of our students do that in their 2nd quarter. As we move up those stairs, we come to the state certificate, and that's the 3rd certificate also required by DCYF for center directors, assistant directors, or center program supervisors. So anybody in a leading position. Now you see here is a total of 47 credits. So for initial and short-term certificate, you already completed 5 courses. Now you need to go for 7 more courses. 2 of those 7 courses are 1 math and 1 English. The remaining 5 classes are actually other ECE classes. So you get actually 5 years up and higher to complete the state certificate. Now, the first 3 certificate is what the minimum requirements ask for anybody working in the field, depending on their position. But we actually offer more certificates or degrees as we move up. So the RTC certification of completion is 18 courses and 65 credits. Now, many of you might ask, so why should I continue studying if the state only requires those first 3 certificates? The goal is to get more knowledge, to get more experience, and to have more professionalism in the field. So, for example, even if the state has that minimum requirement, if you go out in the field and you do different internships or you do job applications, you will very quickly see that they actually like associate's degree, bachelor's degree, or master's degree. So as I always say to our students, the more you study, the better for you. And for the children, of course. Now we do also offer an associate degree, and actually Head Start or also ECAP, they want their teachers to have a associate of applied science degree. It's 90 credits and it's 33 courses. So just to give you an approximate timeline, if a student is full-time, it would approximately take them 2 years to complete their associate's degree. But that might depend on the credit load that you take each quarter. We also do offer an associate transfer degree. So if any one of you would be interested in pursuing a bachelor's degree after you have completed your associate's degree, that is a possibility as well. Now, here's really important to mention that if you do your associate's degree at Renton Technical College and you want to transfer into another 4-year program, RTC needs to have contracts with those 4-year programs. That's called articulation agreements. So currently we have such agreements with North Seattle, Lake Washington, Highline College, and we are in communication with UW as well. So we want to make sure that every single credit that you take at RTC will be transferable into that 4-year program. So if that's something that you're interested in, I would also advise you to communicate with your advisor, Chelsea Good here, very early on to make sure that we make that transition as smooth as possible. Yeah, so that was the discussion all around the different stackable certificates that we have.
Great. Thanks, Beatrice. So we want to make sure that you understand the modality of the classes, which just means how are the classes taught. So the classes that Beatrice just reviewed, the stackable certificates, along with the associate degree requirements, those are all online classes and they are what we call asynchronous. And so what that means is that you don't have to log in at a specific time online to work on those classes. Your instructors will give you your assignments and the expectations typically on a weekly basis, and then you'll have dates and deadlines to meet. But you get to pick when you log in to work on those classes to get those assignments completed. And again, it's whatever time works best for your schedule. There will be some reflections and discussions that you will do on something called Canvas. And Canvas is like your online classroom. So that's where you will log in to submit your homework, do discussions, typed discussions and things like that. You'll also be checking your emails. You'll have a student email account. You will also have an email through Canvas that you can communicate with your instructors and your fellow classmates on that. And then again, you'll have that weekly due date for your assignments and your reflections to make sure that you get those turned in. There are 4 practicum courses that would need to be completed if you're doing the entire associate degree program. We're going to talk about practicum a little bit more in depth here in just a moment, but just making sure that you understand that the practicum courses, those hours need to be completed in person. Another piece I wanted to mention here is that for students that are interested in our Spanish offerings, we do offer some classes fully in Spanish for the first initial certificate and for the second short certificate and for the third state certificate. We do offer fully Spanish speaking courses. Now, those classes are what we call hybrid. And that means that if you're taking those Spanish speaking classes, you will come to class in person on Saturdays. And then the rest of your homework will be completed online during the week. So it's kind of like a mix of both online and in person, but you will have that in-person support for those Spanish classes on Saturdays.
Thank you, Chelsea. Now, we know that starting college might be very scary for many of you, and we just want to make sure that you know how much RTC does really to support their students. So first of all, one thing that is really important for me to mention is we still support English language learners. So whenever you come into the classroom in the Spanish part, but also in the English online classroom, we do not grade your English skills. We do not grade grammar, and we do not grade any spelling mistakes. So I myself am an English language learner. I started learning English while I was studying as well, and I just want to make sure that you know the doors are open for everyone. And then next to that, we know that for some people it might have been a while since they were in school. Other people never really liked school, and then others they love school and learning. But our program is for everyone, and we do have an IBEST program. That means that for some of our courses, we do have two instructors. So it would be a content instructor that is specialist in the field of early childhood education, plus a second instructor who is a specialist in adult education. So, for example, while I would be teaching some content, for example, on how play is really important for children and their development, I might ask you to write an essay about it. How do you think is play important for the development of young children? And some of you might feel, oh, I'm a little bit confused. What does the teacher want from me? How can I get started on this homework? And that's where the second instructor comes in, our IBES instructor. She usually provides weekly Zoom drop-ins. She can set up one-on-one meetings with you to explain you the homework, to help you start brainstorming, help you get on track with your assignment. So the IBES instructor and the content instructor, we work really closely together to provide the support that our students need to help them be successful. And you see here, programs that do have IBES support, the completion rate is much higher among them. Now, as Chelsea mentioned before, we do have 4 practicum courses. Now, you only need to complete all the 4 practicum courses in case that you do want to obtain your associate's degree. But remember, we talked about those first 3 certificates, the initial certificate, short-term certificate, and state certificate, the ones that are required by the state. For those first 3 certificates, you actually only need 1 practicum course. Oh, sorry about that. And that 1 practicum course requires you to complete 33 hours in the field, meaning in a licensed home care or in a licensed childcare center. Now we know that many of our students are already working in the field, and actually the hours that you are already working by being employed in a licensed center or in a home care, you can use those hours for your practicum. So practicum 1 is 33 hours. You complete those 33 hours within those 12 weeks. So not a misunderstanding. You don't have to complete 33 hours every week. It's just 33 hours throughout your whole quarter. Then for practicum 2 and 3, you have 99 hours. And for the last practicum, you have 132 hours to complete. As instructors, we try to help you find a place. If you're not currently employed somewhere and you need any support finding a practicum place, we would be willing to help you find a place. And very important to mention here is before you can actually start a practicum or even just volunteering, there are some requirements that the childcare centers will have to have you complete. So for example, you need to pass a background check. You need to do TB testing, and you need to share some immunization records. So that's something that is required by the state in order for you to be able to work with children in the field. Now, those things are not required to start your studies at RTC. You can start studying at RTC, but in order to complete your practicum courses, even the very first one, those one will be required of you.
So we're going to pivot and we're going to start talking about funding. And you've now learned all about this excellent program and you're excited to join. And we want to know, how do I make sure that I can pay for the program? What financial supports are available for me? So on the Renton Technical College website, there's actually a really great spot in our main menu called Paying for College. And it's got lots of different resources, including what you see on the screen here. So one of the options is applying for financial aid. So financial aid is going to include completing an online application. You'll either complete the FAFSA or you'll complete the WASFA. And that's depending on your eligibility for either one of those applications for financial aid. And you can get more information about that through the financial aid website. There are priority dates to apply for financial aid to make sure that you can have funding set up well in advance of the start of your classes. So it's really important to start exploring funding early. You also may need to apply for financial aid more than once. So financial aid, you typically have to apply for that once per year. It's every academic year. So it's important to know that depending on how many classes you plan to take, you may need to apply for financial aid multiple times. The other piece is we offer what's called workforce funding. Workforce funding is a specific pot of money for students that may be getting food stamps, such as our BFET program, the Basic Food Employment and Training Program, or a worker retraining program. If you're already working in childcare, you may be able to qualify for worker retraining because you need to have those certificates in order to stay in compliance and keep your employment. So worker retraining might be another option to help you pay for your classes. Another option may be early achievers. You may already work at a childcare center that offers early achievers funding. And we'll give you the contact information for our early achievers person here in the next couple of slides. But if you do work at an early achievers center, it's important to contact the early achievers person for Renton Technical College so she can have you do the application process. There does tend to be a little bit of a waiting list for that particular funding source, but it's always good to get more information and to apply early for that. Another option is that we have some different scholarships that you can apply for, and scholarships may be something that you apply for on a quarterly basis. So that could be through our foundation office, where you might be able to do an application each quarter to potentially get some funding to help you pay for school. So there's lots of different resources out there to help you pay for your classes and to pay for your certificate or your degree program. It's just really important to start exploring those funding options early and to make sure that you're meeting dates and deadlines for when you need to apply for funding so that you don't get dropped from your classes because your financial aid or your other funding sources have not been identified. So super important to do that early and often. So again, you are really excited about this program and you want to join. So what are the steps for you to enroll in this particular program? So the first step that you need to do is you need to apply to Renton Technical College, and you will do that online. The online application will walk you through some different questions, and then you will receive your student ID number. It's also called a CTC link number. You will receive that CTC link number within 3 to 5 business days in an email, and it will give you your next steps of what you need to do after you've received that number. So first step is to apply to Renton Technical College online. Second step, again, is to identify that funding. So how are you planning to pay for those classes? Because that part can take a little bit of time. So it's important to either apply for financial aid or to work with our worker retraining advisors, maybe talk with our early achievers contact, just identify how you're planning to pay for school. And the other thing about funding is that you can actually braid different funding options together. So even if you apply for financial aid, that doesn't mean you can't get worker retraining funding. Maybe you can use both. So super important to ask lots of questions when it comes to your funding. So after you identify your funding, you can work with an entry advisor to sign up for your first quarter classes. And they can also help you explore some funding options as well. The entry advisors will give you your list of what your first quarter classes will look like, and they'll walk you through that application process for signing up for those classes online through your CTC Link account. I will work with you once you're fully enrolled in the program. So kind of beyond your first quarter, I will be the person that will be helping you with academic advising. Last step is to attend an orientation, a new student orientation. So the new student orientation will go over information about your program. It will talk with you about making sure that you can log into your Canvas, which is your online classroom, making sure that you can log into your student email account, It'll be important that you can log into all the different systems that you're going to be using while you're a student here, and also learning about the different student services that are available on campus, such as tutoring. We have a free food pantry on campus. We have behavioral health counselors that can meet with you. We've got a great library on campus. So lots of different resources to help you and kind of support you along your journey as you're taking classes here at Renton Technical College. So super important that you attend that orientation. But these are the steps that you'll follow to get into the program. And we've got that advising@rtc.edu email where you can always send an email to them and they'll be able to get you started on those first steps.
Thank you very much, Chelsea. Now here are some contact information. So Chelsea was referring to early achievers before. So you can see here Heather Inch. She's the point of contact of early achievers. So if you have any questions about early achievers, if you're already working at the early achiever site, feel free to contact her. Here is Chelsea Good, our academic advisor. This is our dean, Christopher Carter, and that's me, the program chair and also the instructor of some of the very first classes. So thank you very much for listening to us today, and hopefully we will see you very soon in our program.